Next on Real Personal.
Folk Erotica. Throughout the ages, it's been used as a learning tool, an aphrodisiac, and just plain fun. Join us as we explore this historical hidden treasure.
That's next on Real Personal with Bob Berkowitz.
Cal Thomas puts you inside the Beltway and brings you face to face with the people behind the headlines.
I'd like to know why Ollie North is above the law, but I'm not.
Cal Thomas, live from Washington every Wednesday and Thursday, only on CNBC.
Real Personal deals with intimate adult issues. Our frank and open exchanges about human sexuality may not be suitable for everyone. Viewer discretion is advised. From Studio 2 at CNBC, this is Real Personal with award-winning journalist Bob Berkowitz.
And good evening tonight on CNBC's Real Personal. Folk Erotica. For centuries, America has been a treasure trove of artistic erotica and sex toys. Everything from Native American sex art to current works. Joining us are Milt Simpson, he's author of Folk Erotica, and sexologist Dr. Clifford Scheiner. Cliff is, by the way, one of the most foremost collectors of erotica, not only in the United States, but maybe in the world. And Milton, you wrote the book on folk erotica. What is folk erotica? How do you describe it? How do you define it?
Well, folk art is basically naive art, primitive art, outsider art. There are many terms used currently to describe folk art. Erotica has to do with sex, so we combine the two. I think possibly what makes the book unique is that it's American and that it's centuries old.
Cliff, what does erotic art tell us about our feelings as a nation, as a society, about sex?
Well, it reflects what's going on with people at a given time. The art that Milt has collected and put in his book can serve various purposes. Erotic art throughout history has been used as educational material. It's been used as an aphrodisiac. It's also been used for just plain fun.
So when you look at erotic art that's being produced today in the 1990s in America, what does that tell you about where we are sexually?
Well, what we have today is so much different from what happened before 1950. What it's telling us is what's going on in the sexual psyche of the individuals. It's also frequently a statement, often a critical statement, of our political and social times as well.
Okay, keep that in mind as we're going through this collection here, because it's just a fascinating collection. Let's first of all look at Naughty Nellie, if you will. Milt, pick that up and show us Naughty Nellie. Give us a little demonstration of her.
Basically, we're talking about a boot jack.
Help get your boots off.
1880,
right.
And it works kind of like this. It's a sexist boot jack.
Right.
The gentleman covers the woman's body with his foot and puts his heel of the boot that he wants to remove.
And Naughty Nellie's got a leg spread.
Yeah, and Naughty Nellie's crotch is doing all the work.
Okay.
Now, this actually is a very unique item insofar as most folk erotica is unique material that people made one item at a time for their own purposes. An item such as Naughty Nellie, because it's cast iron, would have had to have been manufactured, would have had to have been mass-produced, and as such, it has a very special place in American culture.
Okay. The silhouette stick, what's that about? That comes from the early part of this century, 1900, early 1900s?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a piece of Victoriana. Basically, what I'm holding up is the male figure, and there is a female figure that goes along. Light was put behind these figures, and I would assume a couple enjoyed the evening with the male and the female figure casting the shadows.
Right.
And basically...
And so it was supposed... There's a picture of it right there, the shadows that they might put on. You can see, obviously, the phallus and the breasts of the woman.
Yeah.
And was the idea, was this an erotic stimulant for a couple?
I think it was a toy.
It was kind of a toy, it was an early erotic video almost, it looks like.
Yes.
Okay, Woodbridge figures. Again, this is circa 1920.
Yeah, here we're talking about a fertility cult. These were found when a gas station in Woodbridge...
Turn it around so they can see that.
Woodbridge,
Camera 3 over there.
Woodbridge, New Jersey,
Right.
was excavated. What we have here is a penis in the man's head that had an attachment, a pin.
Uh-huh. And what was the purpose? What did that symbolize?
You know, I'm not really sure. The man had the penis, the woman had the vagina.
Right. Well, it usually works out.
Cliff?
Well, these are very, very interesting figures. When you look at them, there's a certain crudeness to them. And not that anybody could simply carve these at will.
No.
But when you look at them, in fact, they don't even have arms out there, which means that the carver just didn't have that much of a technical skill. There's certainly
Or didn't care. He was just caring about the private parts, maybe, not so much the other appendages.
That's very
could very
possible.
well be.
Okay.
However, in addition to just having a nude figure that may have been socially acceptable, by adding the little joke, by having the genitalia in the person's head,
Right.
as post-Freudians, we could make an awful lot out of that, the sex organs on the mind. However, for amusement purposes, or just to perpetuate a smutty joke, something a little bit extra to show the fellows are at, at night, this could serve, once again, as an entertainment.
Is something almost childlike about this early erotic art.
It's naive. It's naive
right.
art.
I mean, we would
yes.
almost laugh at this today. It would not be titillating. It wouldn't turn anybody on. But it's interesting because it's antiquated. This is funny. The thumb girl. This is very funny.
Well, there are a series of pieces, mirrors and advertising pieces. And
You've got to show that up, though, so that folks at home can see it.
Okay.
Now, on the surface, it looks like just a sketch of a woman.
We're talking about a deco piece and a hairstyle, but when we cover the head
Right.
180 degrees,
It looks like she's masturbating.
she's masturbating.
And there's a whole series of these things.
Exactly.
Now, this is clever, at least.
Well,
I mean, there's a little subtlety and there's a little humor to
and
it.
I wouldn't call it folk art. I think
Okay.
basically what we're talking about is a commercial design.
Okay.
This
Yeah, a
visual
piece of
double
American.
entendre certainly does show a great deal of sophistication, and much as you saw with the silhouette stick as well. Somebody had to figure out what the ultimate image they wanted to find was, and then working backwards create it, and do it in such a way that it would be socially acceptable when most people looked at it, yet those in the know would be able to use it for other purposes.
All right, before we take a break, Dr. Joyce Brothers is next with the answer to her question, do you wonder how your partner rates your sexual technique? I'm Bob Berkowitz. This is Real Person. We're talking about and seeing dozens of samples of American erotic art, some centuries old and some very contemporary. Milt Simpson is the author of Folk Erotica. Also joining us is sexologist Dr. Clifford Scheiner. And let's take a look at what this is called, the birdhouse. Oh, good Lord. What is the significance of that?
Well,
Why is this erotic?
it's erotic because we've got breasts, we've got penis shapes on the side. You're kind of holding two
Okay.
penises right there.
Well, lucky me.
It's a whimsical birdhouse.
Right.
with
that's very phallic. Yeah. Okay, I got it. And next on the list is gay cowboys, which is right there. You get a shot of that, Mario? Steve? Okay. And this is obviously one, they're tin cans in the shape of cowboys performing copulation, oral copulation on the other.
Right. And
Which lends new definitions to the term tin horn, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And this is modern, though. This is something very contemporary, even though it's from an old looking.
And it's recycled, so it's a reuse of existing materials, done in a very imaginative, I think, whimsical, playful way.
Is there much in the history of American erotica, Cliff, on gay subjects?
Very, very little. Generally, you would find it within prison populations, from whaling ships, merchant marine,
Right.
areas where you had an all-male society without women for extended periods of time.
The Stroh's beer can man.
Toy. little thing I found in Indiana.
Oh, there you go.
Do we have the right camera for that?
Flip top pop there. It was fine. Yeah, that's right. I'm sure the stores people are going to love us for that. Now, this is an interesting one. This is trench art. This goes back. This is a shell casing from I guess a large, what was it, a weapon in World War I, and you can see on the shell casing the figure of a nude woman.
Yeah.
Something that was used to kill people also had some erotic aspects to it.
Yeah, I think probably in this case the GI had a lot of time on his hands and went to the machine shop and did all of this work.
Okay.
It's painstaking work, I'm sure.
And then right here, right in the front there is a nude couple, and this comes from around 1920, and the significance of that is what?
I think it's a man following a woman, an interracial couple.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wouldn't you think about an interracial couple in 1920 in America?
Exactly.
Why?
Well, once again, you're dealing with the elements of erotica being forbidden and tabooed, so if you're starting off with nude figures that are prohibited images, make it interracial. Perhaps this was someone's individual fantasy. This is how they were able to portray it.
We have, I think, concentrated on a lot of 20th century erotic art, but we have some that goes back to the year 700, which is obviously Native American Indians long before European settlers came to this country. We have a picture of a ceramic bowl, if we can see that from our still stores collection. There it is.
Oh, yes. This is a membranous bowl dating from 700, which is probably sex education. We have a shaman or an important person performing sex with an audience. So I would assume we're talking about sex education.
Now, was this a girl who was losing her virginity, or was this just a woman from the tribe who was having sex with a shaman?
It's possible that this was ceremonial, and it did commemorate a particular marriage. If you look at the figures who are observing it, very frequently within European tradition, the consummation of a royal marriage would actually be observed.
Okay, and then there's a Kachina doll from the early 1950s. Tell me about that. It's two women. This is a lesbian erotica.
Oh, yeah. This is not the Kachina. This is a lesbian piece. This is a sculpture of two women.
Okay,
There's
that's the Kachina doll.
Oh, here we have a Kachina. Kokopelli. Kokopelli was a spirit, a fertility spirit.
Rather large penis.
A large penis, hunchback flute player. And supposedly the hunchback had a large penis.
Why is that?
I don't know.
All that lower weight on the bottom, causes, I don't know, something in his back to pop up? I have no idea. Prison art cards. Prisons were a great source of erotic art.
Yes. Yes.
Because since they were not having a lot of sex, presumably, they were expressing their sexuality in terms of art.
Right, and these would be used for masturbatory purposes. That's really what these were utilitarian, more so than just being there as art objects.
And I believe they were also sold. And
right.
This sequential, basically what's being shown there is a sequence, a fantasy sequence of the prisoner and the nurse. And meets the nurse, and then, finally they consummate
their relationship.
Yes.
Prison art bra. This is a brassiere made of what? Cigarette packs.
Yeah, evidently this was a breast man.
Right.
Who reused cigarette
I guess
packs.
a breast and butt man, given the fact that he was using cigarette
And
wrappers.
certainly a very inventive person as well. He used what was available, the same as with the trench art, what you had available, or on the whaling ships, scrimshaw, which is probably the best known of all American 19th century erotic art.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's from the 1960s. One more piece of prison art before we take a break. A prison art ice cream on a blue Monday. Yeah. This is a very strange painting, I must say.
I think it's a colorful rendition by Rinaldi, the artist, who deals a lot with fluids, bodily fluids. And I think it's just part of his theme.
Were a lot of sex toys developed in, let's say, the 1800s or even the 1700s, Cliff?
Well, sex toys, if you're talking about dildos,
Right.
those go back to the time of the ancient Romans and ancient Greeks. What developed later on in the 17th, 18th, 19th century was that they became mechanical.
Okay, on that note, let us take a break here. We're talking about erotic art. And I'm Bob Berkowitz, and you're watching Real Personal here on CNBC. Stay with us, please.
If you have a personal story or an idea for a show that you'd like to share with us, drop us a line. Real Personal, CNBC, 2200 Fletcher Avenue, Fort Lee, New Jersey, 07024.
This is CNBC.
I'm Bob Berkowitz. This is Real Personal. We're talking about erotic folk art. Incidentally, I'll be hosting an exciting seminar on sex and relationships on Saturday, September 16th in Los Angeles. For more information, please call our Real Personal hotline at 201-461-6189. That's 201-461-6189. Let us return to our discussion and our visual display of erotic art that we have here. Let us go to the Scrimshaw horns. This is from the latter part of the last century, in 1880 to 1890. And these are what, erotic drawings on tusks?
Yeah, they're carvings that were done by seamen, and generally they were chopped up and thrown away. You know, in a puritanical society, the ship's captain didn't allow these to come back to shore. So these are rare. These are extremely rare.
And what were they used for? Was it, again, to sort of stimulate seamen while they were out in sea for many years?
Your pun is very well taken.
Pun, I guess, unintended?
Right. But certainly they were used for erotic excitement.
So to speak. Okay. We have then an apron from the 1930s, which is actually kind of a funny thing. This is an apron with a penis coming out of it. Why an apron with a penis coming out of it?
It's probably one of the few pieces in the book that was done by a woman. There aren't too many pieces in the book. It was basically a man's game.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, why so many penises and not female genitalia, Cliff?
Probably was a lot easier to carve penises. After all, as Ogden Nash said, since everything is concave or convex, all you can think about is sex. If you had a piece of wood, if you had a knife to whittle with, it was so much easier to create a phallus, an erection, a penis, and it was obviously that. If you tried to create a vagina, it might be more technically difficult, and the viewer might have a harder time discerning what it was.
And the cigar box, which comes from the 1930s.
Yeah, this is a wonderful, strange, eerie piece. It's a machine. It's a fornication machine. Coin is dropped into a slot below the woman, and a penis comes out of the wall and goes back and forth, and it has lines in there. Oh, it smells good. It tastes good. There are various
shock absorbers.
typographic
This
slogans.
is really an incredible piece because it includes the mechanical great American ingenuity. Plus, as a sexual diorama, it's probably creating somebody's individual personal fantasy in a way that they couldn't in real life.
And sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, and sometimes it's that. Okay, book sculptor. What is that? Let's take a look at that.
Well, this is an unusual piece.
Couples having sex on top of a book.
About 1850. What's unusual is it's Pennsylvania German. It's a book until you lift out two couples on a dog.
On a what?
They're on a dog.
Yeah.
The two couples mounted on a dog play with the dog's head, and they swing into action. In other words, it's a hidden piece of erotica.
Oh, those wacky Pennsylvania Dutch. Okay, the whirligig.
Whirligigs are wind toys, and when the wind blows, the man plays with himself while he's fondling the breasts of the woman to his right.
And this is from the 1960s.
Right.
The
This is
beginning of
done by
sexual revolution.
Steve Ashby, a recognized folk artist that did a lot of erotica.
Ice fishing rod.
Well, this was on my dentist's wall for a long time until he started doing the book, and I asked whether I could have it. It's called a jiggle stick, and it's a nice fishing rod that was used to fish through a hole in the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine whoever did the fishing felt pretty good while handling this this rod.
Right, taking something that's utilitarian that was going to be created anyway and just customizing
Right.
it so you get that little erotic excitation.
Nude carving. This is from 1940.
Oh, this is a beautiful piece. I don't know much about it.
How much would this be worth, do you think? Any
A
price
piece
tag?
like that,
Cliff, any idea?
It depends. If it was made out of wood, it could be worth several $100s. If it was made out of ivory, it could be worth several $1,000s.
And do you find these things in museums and galleries? Where do you find erotic art like
well,
that?
this particular piece belonged to a dealer. A dealer.
Is there a
collector.
museum of erotic art, which is, I mean, a legitimate gallery?
I wish there was.
Yeah.
Well, in Europe, there are some collections. In Hamburg, there's one. In Scandinavia, there's one. The Kinsey Institute has a nice collection, but it
Indiana.
really isn't open to the public.
Right.
It's more of a research archive.
Okay, a summer day chore. This is 1965.
Yeah, this is a piece by Daniel Presley, and I think this is maybe one of my fantasies. A woman's butt out the window, and while I'm doing a little gardening, I think this is this one is one of the few I relate to.
This is interesting because that same theme is in Chaucer in one of his more scatological tales.
Okay, Adam and Eve, 1975.
Oh, wonderful piece. Actually, a piece by Edgar Tolson is owned by the Smithsonian. This happens to be one of someone's collection in New York City. And basically a very naive carving, intimate. I don't know whether to use it, but it's penetration.
Oh, you can say that word on Real Personal. That's okay. Milton Simpson, your book is called Folk Erotica, and Dr. Cliff Scheiner. Again, I thank you very much for adding your expertise to the conversation as well.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, appreciate it. That's Real Personal for tonight. If you'd like additional information about tonight's program, please call the Real Personal hotline at 201-461-6189. Thanks for watching. I'm Bob Berkowitz. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
If you wish to purchase a copy of this program, please send $6 for a transcript or $24.95 plus $5 shipping and handling for a videotape to Burrell's, P.O. Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039. For credit card orders, please call 1-800-777-8398.